Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining our seminar on helping young children managing emotions. So today's seminar would be delivered by one of our educational psychologists, Vanessa, because we saw on the participants that a lot of you might not already be current CDC parents. So I want to take this opportunity to sort of introduce the background of CDC. And after that, I would pass the time back to Vanessa and she would start on today's seminar. So CDC has already over 40 years of experience in Hong Kong, and we have some missions that we would love to accomplish. So one of them would be to support every child to succeed in their unique learning journey and to be able to fully explore their potential. And while doing so, we also want to be able to provide support to families as well. So not only providing support for the parents, but also other caretakers. So for example, grandparents and even domestic helpers as well. So we've also run workshops for helpers before, and that was quite successful. So we look forward to doing that maybe again, and hopefully maybe some of your helpers would be able to join us. So in terms of services, we support children from the age of 6 months up and up to the age of 16. And our services range from English, Cantonese, and Mandarin, depending on the family's needs. So also we have a multidisciplinary team, which consists of a speech and language therapist, occupational therapists, special childcare workers, SEN teachers, psychologists, social workers, etc., to best support children's individual learning needs as well. So our staff to student ratio for group programs is 1 to 3 with a maximum of 6 children per group. So there will always be at least 2 staff members in the classroom supporting our children's learning. And in terms of individual programs, we've always offered ABA, speech and language therapy, occupational therapy, and also individual sessions offered by our teachers as well. And starting this year, we've actually also started offering music therapy as well. So in terms of focus programs, we offer Attention Group, which focuses on children's attention and sensory skills. We also offer social skills program as well. So there are social superstars, social stars, and also some Lego-based therapy as well. And we also offer screening, assessment, and consultation sessions. These are all done by our professional members of staff, depending on your child's needs. So moving on, we also hope that apart from providing training in the classroom, we want to be bringing our children into the community and learning how to integrate and interact with others as well. So as you can see from the pictures, we've been to Disneyland. We've also have partnership with the the University of Hong Kong, where we visited their dentist clinic, where our children were able to get a little checkup on their teeth, and also they were able to pretend to be mini dentists and take time to look at their parents' teeth as well. So that was a very fun activity and everyone really enjoyed. We also offer dog therapy, as I mentioned before, music therapy, and sports day at the beach, and also yoga as well. So if you're ever interested in knowing more about our upcoming events, if you're not interested in joining programs, that's absolutely fine as well. You can go onto our website where you would be able to find more information under our SEN network, or alternatively, you can also feel free to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or maybe YouTube as well. We will be posting on there in terms of our upcoming events or any different events or workshops that we'll be hosting. So please do feel free to follow us. And again, please do send a direct message to one of our staff members, Karen Ho, with your name and email address so that she can send you the PowerPoint after today's session. So without further ado, I'll pass the time back to Vanessa so she can start her sharing for today. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Wendy. Welcome, parents. Hello. Yes, I'm Vanessa. I'm the educational psychologist at the CDC. I do want to appreciate you all for taking time out from your lunchtime, from your busy day to listen to our seminar on how to help young children manage their emotions, right? And as Wendy said, I know we have a lot of parents from not from only from the CDCs from different places. So in the beginning, I do want to do a little poll about your children. I will be starting that now. And throughout this 1 hour, although that this is like a Zoom seminar, I do want to be this to be a bit more interactive. There will be a different polls in the session so that I you can reflect more on what I'm talking about and about how you are in raising your children, right? So first of all, I do want to know the age of your child, right? So if you can, just tell me like, yeah, how old of your child, or your children's? Yes. Oh, sorry, there's only one single choice, so only one choice allowed, right? So, so more right now I can see 3-year, 4-year, 5-year, so more in the kindergarten range, right? I would about 10 of you have given your answers. Any more? Oh, that's okay. I know that some of you might be a bit difficult to vote as well, since perhaps you're just holding like your phone. Right, but okay, that's good. So it's more of the towards the kindergarten age. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. So even if for like children, what we say young children, I think there's a great variety from when they, as you know, like when they are really taught like babies to when they grow up to be more toddlers, to be kindergartens, their emotional range and how they can regulate themselves changes a lot as well. So just to keep that in mind, that I know that all of your children are mostly on the older side. Okay, great. Right. Okay. And without further ado, let's start. Um, uh, So today I want to focus when we're talking about emotions. Of course, we want to, as parents, we want to learn skills on how to manage the children when they have emotional issues. But for young children compared to children when they get older, like in primary school or even in secondary schools, the emotions are more affected by the physical aspects of their daily habit. So the first part of the seminar, I will talk about what are the good daily habits we can maintain, the sleeping, the eating, the playtimes, like we can help them promote them to have a balance in a way and emotional regulation. And then in the second part, I will talk about the ACT model. What are the skills we can learn to manage the emotions? And then thirdly will be what protective skills, like what will you do every day? In between when there's just normal time, what can we do to enhances and to improve the emotional health and the positivity of a child daily, right? So first of all, eating. I think we have in general, as in like, even for adults, we know that what we eat greatly affects how we are and and how we are generally, emotionally, and physically as well. And for kids, of course, like healthy eating is very important, right? So just this is a great reminder still every day we have to have a balanced diet to eat not only certain things like only grains, we have to have proteins, water, healthy oils. I'm sure these information I think most parents know already, but I do want to focus on like the amount of sugars, right? And I think there has been more and more information about eating too much sugar um is not a good thing. But why is it not a good thing, or how bad is it? Is when we have like this is the roller coaster um, uh, to imagine like how when we take sugar, right? So when we eat sugar, it of course it makes us feels great, increases our energy level and it makes us feel good, right? But when we take too much sugar too quickly, it goes go to like a roller coaster, go to very high up, and it the downside is that it just crashes down. It will make us leads to like just a sudden loss of energy, fatigue, like even like a brain fog. For me, I can see that I have two young sons. One is 6 and one is 2, and sometimes like there are times when you just can't really control the amount of sugar they take. For example, going to the buffet, sometimes to celebrate birthdays, birthday, and you go and have a buffet dinner, and then there are all those sweets, and you cannot really say no. You cannot eat also, so there will be like a really huge amount of sugar intake, and usually sometimes like at the nighttime after we finish the buffet, my son, even when we get home, and literally you can see him like really, really energized and saying, "Oh, I cannot sleep. I have so much energy," you know. So we can just see, the effect of lots of sugar in our body and to our how we can they kind of lose that ability to regulate the emotions, and it gives us like a more move strength. So what we want is, of course, those are sometimes are exceptional instances where we cannot control. So, but in everyday life, we encourage the parents to remember, of course, we cannot take away sugar, but to have a balanced diet and to decreases the amount of sugar we take, and to improve the self-regulation ability of your child, right? Okay, so after the diet, sleep is also a very important part of emotional regulation. So, okay, another poll. You can see it from a graph. I do want you to have a think. So, how much time on average does your child or your children sleep per day at night? So, be like, is it less than 7 hours, about 8 to 10? And 11 to 12, or 13 or more hours? Yes. Do have a think. I think this is a very important question for us to reflect on. I know like life in Hong Kong can be busy. So besides, going to schools, there are other activities to do and other things, we have to go to. Ah, thank you. I see 18 of you have answered. All right. Any more? Okay. I guess this is about a good time. I'm going to end the poll and just show the results. About, yeah, 80% of you said your children have like 8 to 10 hours, which is pretty good. All right. One of you said they have like 13. Oh, that is a very, very, very good hour. So why is this important? Oops. Oh, the poll is still showing. Sorry. All right. There you go. Okay, so yes, the amount we sleep, there has been research done um, on preschoolers and how much they sleep. Um, what they found is that if the preschoolers, if they are sleep deprived, meaning like the average daily sleep is 7 hours or less, it will lead to lower development in their readiness for school and how ready they are when they go to school to learn. For example, like how well they are physically, how well they are emotionally, socially. Yes. What is the average range? Like there is research in Hong Kong, like preschoolers get about like 11 to 12 hours of sleep, which is about what the parents here today are telling us. That is very important. Yes. So remember that is recommended about 11 to 12 hours. Yes, is a very ideal range. Yes, for the children to be ready here, like or to be ready in the domains that we talked about, to ready to go into school, to learn, to interact with their peers, um, and to have the emotional regulations when they when they get sad or when they're angry, to regulate themselves quickly. Okay, so the second thing to remind yourself of the amount of sleep for your children. And thirdly would be how much time. How much time do they get to spend playing each day? Okay, right. Okay, so this is I love okay, having polls for the parents again, like and the time of play, I'm not talking about screen time. I'm talking about like outside play, like in this photo, like going outside, playing in the park, out in the sun, doing physical activities. Oh, very good. Okay, about 19 of you. Around a few more perhaps? Okay, but I think it's about time. Okay, 20 of you. Okay. Okay, let's mm, Right. Okay. So around 60% of parents said, that their children has around on average 1 hour or more. Right. That's very, very, very good because I think that's very important. I think um one at least 1 hour of outdoor activities per day would be especially for I think just for children, not only for young children, um, to play to move about and I think not only physical, I think um, if they can outdoor with other people, moving about, those are very important because they found researchers have found that for children that spend 3 hours or more per day playing like video games, it does increases their behavioral problems, like in young children. And I think one of the major issues is because if they spend so much time playing videos and looking at the screen, it just reduces the parent-child interaction so that and then it reduces how we can help them cope with their emotions and cope with how they behave. So these are one of the things that we have to be mindful of. Right. So we have talked about daily habits, the amount we sleep, what we eat, and the amount that children play. Let's go to the main focus of the day. So emotions. I would like to ask you, like, to you all, like, what is emotions? Like, what does emotion mean? So I'm going to I'm gonna launch a poll. I do encourage you, please just type out like the things that come out, like what are emotions to you? Any answer, short answers can be a word, can be like a short phrase. What are emotions to you? Gonna give, say, like a minute or parents answer. Okay. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, a couple of you. I can't see the answers right now. I'm going to, after about a minute, I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to show the answers. All right, thank you. A lot of you have given answers. All right, I think that's enough time. Let's just see. Oh, sorry, the answers are not here. Oops. Well, sorry about that. This is not my low tech. Me. I always see. I will look at the polls and check your results, but it's good for you to reflect. In my previous seminars, parents have talked about emotions, our feelings, right? How we feel, and you know. Oh, I've seen parents. Yeah, and our feelings toward a situation. Very good. Thank you for your sharing. Right, exactly. Emotions, emotions are our objective feelings. It's just a reflection of our reactions to the events, or to what's happening around us. Are we happy? Are we sad? Are we angry? Are we curious? Are we frustrated? Those are our natural reactions to what's happening. So the next question would be, is it good or bad? Our emotions, are some emotion inherently good, or are some emotions inherently bad? And can it be controlled? Okay, these are the two, I would say, two most important questions for today's seminar. So I do encourage all the parents to answer. One of them, the second question, it's kind of a trick question, but I do want you to answer like, so is it yes or no? Or number two, like, can emotions be controlled? Ah, interesting. Okay. So don't worry, even if you think I'm not, it is kind of like a trick questions, even for the number two. It's like a yes or a no. I should like give maybe there should have been a third choice, yes and no, like that. Okay. Right. Thank you all. I see a very quick responses from most of our parents. Okay, I do want to share results. Okay, so around 60% of you guys said no. Their emotions are not inherently good or bad, they're just emotion. And for the second question is about, oh, interesting, about 77% of you said yes, it can be controlled. Okay, it's a good time to think about emotions more. So emotions themselves are not, like you said, most of you, they're not inherently good or bad. They are just, they can be negative or positive emotion, but they just reflect how we feel and how we're experiencing and our needs, right? Um, I do want to share a story here. It's a story that was shared to me by a parent I've seen previously. She is a mother. I think she's already in her 40s. She's a mother of two boys, both in primary school. So you can see she's experienced, she's a very experienced parent as well. And we're talking about emotions, and she talked about this story, which stayed with me for a long time. What is it? It's a story that happened to her when she was, I think, in primary school, so very young, or maybe, 8, 9 years old. And this is a story about a precious hairband for her. What happened was, one day, her father invited his friend and their twin girls over to their house to play. And the twin girls saw that she had this really beautiful, you know, hairband, and they really liked it. Um, without asking, and her father, without asking her, would you like to, give it to the guest? He just kind of took it and said, "Oh, of course, please have it. This is our gift. And the parent, that mother, shared that even she was so angry then, like she felt so angry, she felt so hurt, she felt like um, the father ignored her feeling and she was treated unfairly, and the father didn't take into her account like how she loved that hairband. It was one of the most precious things that, if without asking her to do that, it felt very hurt. And even to this day, when she shared her story, she still felt that hurt, you know, that emotion. So emotions, when we don't regulate it properly, or emotions, they stay with us, So, and it's not that the father did a bad thing in a way. Of course, he could have done it better. He could have asked her, but for her to be angry for not giving, that hairband as a present, it's not saying that she is a bad girl or a good girl, just how she felt at that moment of being treated unfeeling, and of her father ignoring her feelings, right? So there's no good or bad. But so when we talk about feelings, like, and in that story about the mother, the emotions, there are different parts of an emotion, and some part of it we really cannot control. It just comes to us. If we classify emotions into four parts, one is the feeling part, the physiological activation part. Those are automatic. Like in the stories, like when as soon as the father said, "Oh, please have the hairband. This is yours. This is yours," and she just felt angry, and all those are automatic. She cannot control it. But the behavior of what we do after we have the feelings, or even the cognitive processes of processing, why am I so angry? Is my dad being unfair? Those we can control. Yeah. So when talking emotions, there are parts we can control, but really there are parts we cannot control. For children, for adults, for everybody, it's the same. So as parents, I think it's really important to remember and to remind ourselves, we cannot, even for us, we cannot stop the emotions from happening, right? But we can, and we teach that to our children. We can teach them how to respond, especially to negative emotions, right? Of course, like if you're happy, um, that's good. But when we have negative emotion, when we are angry, when we're frustrated, we do it we accept that we have that emotion, but we don't accept the behavior, the inappropriate behaviors they have when they have what we call like emotional outbursts. I've seen lots of children, banging on walls, or shouting or hitting each other people. Those we don't accept, but we accept that they are angry, right? So coming to this point, and a lot of parents have told me, and they asked me, like, what do you think, like, when they're throwing a tantrum, if I still respond, you know, doesn't it mean like I'm spoiling them? Like a lot of Chinese parents, they would tell me that, and when they are crying or even when they're shouting or angry, like if they hold them, when they telling them they're kind of like spoiling them, that it's okay to do what you do. Um, I do want to remind that all parents, even if I'm a parent too, I think we're responding to the need. We're treating to the emotional need of the child that moment, not to the behaviors. Because if we do respond to the emotions, we are sensitive, we observe them, we observe and then respond to their needs, they become securely attached. They form a feeling that like this graph. I think we can go over this again. So when your child has a need, of course, we're talking about more the negative emotions, like or even the happy emotions. When they have a need, when they feel unwell, they're asking for help. They are crying. They are just angry. When we come to smooth down our response to them, what it tells that child, to that young child, is that it helps them that we respond to them, and it makes them co-regulate their emotion. It makes them feel good. It makes them know that the world is safe, that they can trust the adult around them, and that the world is safe, and that the care is dependent, and to form in the end a secure attachment with us, and the ability to regulate their own emotions when they have their own needs, when they get older, when we're not with them all the time, when they need to regulate themselves, when they get into that situation. Right. And researchers have shown that this is very important, especially with young children, when as parents, we can help guide their emotion, regulate their emotions. It helps themselves to improve their self-regulation, and then decreases the young child internalized problems, meaning the feeling of being anxious, um, being scared, being not able to express how they feel. So that's why we always, tell parents how this is the important part to help. But when we talk about, help manage their emotion, we're talking about or tell them, oh, you have to control yourself. It's about co-regulations. It's about how we co-regulate with them, because the ability to regulate emotions, it don't come like quickly. It's just something that, oh, and automatically when they get to six, they know how to do it. It's a it's but it it kind of develops as you grow up, and and probably I think it matures probably around when we're in the 20s. So if you think about that, it's a really long progress where the parents step by steps we guide the child, and it practices with them how to do that. So let's get to the main point for today, the ACT model. So um, children do have emotions. Children do get angry. Both my boys. There are times when they get upset and they're sad. So what we do is the ACT model. What is the ACT model? ACT model is we acknowledge their feelings. What they're feeling inside. Why they are feeling that. I can see. Oh, you're sad because of that. Then the next step is, although we understand how you feel, we communicate a limit. There are things that we know that you're feeling, but even that, there are limits to what we can and we cannot do. Because for young children, that is, they don't quite understand what are the boundaries, and we as a parents have to set the boundaries for them. And of course, we don't just set like boundaries and say, oh, you have to do it. And we give them choices. We give them T is for target acceptable choices for them to choose from, to give them the sense that they are allowed to choose, and in a way in control of their behaviors to move on. So let's go into depth the each steps of ACT, because I think each steps, it's easy and you just say, oh, I'm doing the ACT. But when you go into each steps has this own special things that we have to practice that makes us better to carry out the method. First is naming the emotions, right? And then, I think some of us are better, but some of us, from my experience, we're not really used to saying, "Oh, I see that you're happy or you're sad, you're angry." We really have to practice together in acknowledging, you know, I think not only, it's good to do that to your child, to your children. I think it's do it to your husband or to your wife, describe what you're hearing or what you're seeing, what you think the emotions are, and use simple languages, simple sentences to reflect how they are feeling. For example, this is like what I always tell the parents, just you feel because you feel da 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 because. It's just very simple. We don't have to go into a lecture, just simple. Right. So for example, there are lots of different scenarios I can come up with. The first one is, for example, like you go pick them up from school, and then because the teacher misunderstood your child and thinking that he pushed his classmate. And so soon as he saw you, he started crying, right? um Sometimes, for parents it was easy to automatically go into the judgment mode. It's like, did you do something wrong? Did you really push him? The ACT motto is telling us or helping us to stop that first, to acknowledge your feelings first. Oh, you feel wronged. You feel that the teacher was being unfair because you didn't do anything wrong. Just express or talk about that emotion first. And then, for this scenario, then we can go into what happened, because now that the child is smooth, he can talk about more what happened. And we can go into, oh, is that really, perhaps you did do something wrong, but also the other child also did something wrong. So this is very good to talk about emotion. Oh, sorry about that. So, oh, okay. We're talking about negative emotions. For example, what I think a lot of times it happens is every day is about the screen time, when we give them screen time, will they watch TV? But then you have to stop it because it's dinner time, or you have to stop it because, they have to do something. And a lot of time, even for my sons, they begin like, no, I want to keep watching TV. I know that they just do that. And you get angry because, dinner is starting, right? Um, you know, if doing the ACT model, we will say like, okay, I see that you're really enjoying the TV. And it is like, sometimes, for the YouTube, whatever, sometimes you're stopping it before it ends, and you can give them a limit. For example, you say, I can give you 5 minutes more, but we'll stop, we have to stop after 5 more minutes. Or what I really usually do, like if it's really, really time, and I would give, what the T for me would be, for example, I would say, would you switch it off or I switch it off? Right. So you're still giving them a choice, like they can, but not like you just go and just switch off the TV. So giving over like children that choices really make them feel like, oh, they're in a part of the negotiation process, they're part of it, not just the mommy or daddy say, oh, right. This is another example, when they have siblings, the older brother, took his toy, grabbed his toy, um, and so he hit the older brother, and and you can reflect to your child, you feel upset because your brother took your toy. It's just as simple as that. And then you can go into what happened. Hitting is not good, but you feel sad, you feel angry because he took your toy. Okay, so remember, those are the practices we do to reflect, to first reflect before we go into the action mode. Because as parents, we always want to go to the action mode because we're just so busy. We just go to the next things, right? There are other activities we can do. I think for English speakers, as compared to Chinese speakers, there are just really loads of books, out there that talks about emotions, about different emotions, about characteristics or how um, we feel when we have emotions, and how we can deal with those emotions. So I think there are two things. So I really encourage you to read those books with with your children, and to share, and to talk about daily life, like instances where that happened, and how what happened then, and this is how we feel and how we can do better next time, perhaps. Right. Uh, and this is one of some of the things that I would do at home. Like it's very simple. You can just go download like emotional charts, and you can print out like um what is emotional regulation station at home. So there will be a chart of the basics emotion being happy, angry, jealous, excited, disappointed, annoyed, sad, afraid. You put a chart at home so that when it practices with them also, how are you feeling today? And they can put their pictures into the corresponding box. So I feel happy today because of what, or I feel disappointed because of what. So it's not just when they have the emotions, they can every day you can practice naming the emotions for your children and for yourself. Okay. So this is good practices. I encourage, I do that at home as well with my two boys, the practice we can do at home daily to increase the awareness of what emotions are, and how we are feeling right now. Okay. And then the second part, this is to communicate the limit, which is very important. So when we think about that, when we step back, what it means is to set clear limits, to be kind but firm in what we allowed and what we don't allow our children to do. For example, this is very I remember this. What this picture here is a picture of those farms in Hong Kong in the Northern Territory. There are a lot of farms. We can take our children to go to the farms, and they can play with animals and do different activities. I'm sure most of you have taken your children there to play, right? But this instance, this was what happened. I went with a couple of my family friends, and my friends, they had a son who was around 6 years old at the time. And in that particular farm, they had a water area without fence. So it was more dangerous than other places. So if he was, running around, there really was a chance he could fall into the water, right? But what the dad did was basically for the whole time, he just shouted to his son, don't run, stop running, so the whole time. And of course, being a 6-year-old boy and being in a new place, all these new different things he wanted to explore, he just kept running and going around different places. And as just a bystander, I was just there next to them, and I was like, oh, even I was feeling, bit, agitated, like hearing the father keep saying, don't run, and he ran, and he ran to the places that his dad didn't want him to go. So, in reflection, if you go to these places, set clear boundaries. For example, if you go to a place and you can see there are places you don't want them to go to, and you say, okay, you can play in this area where I can see you, but there are places they want to go. So as soon as you want to go to somewhere further out, somewhere more dangerous, you have to tell me and we go together. So set a clear limits where you can go, how far you can go, and around what time you can play. So that as soon as they're doing something that they're too dangerous for you, or they're not acceptable, you can tell them we have discussed this and this is the boundary. Instead of just telling them no, no, no. So remember, being setting clear limits, provide choices, and in the limits is for young children. It's always good to just include the time and the frequency as well, because they don't understand. So for example, if you want to play those, and perhaps like if you, for example, as um you want to leave, right? 10 more minutes of play, then we'll go. So it's just very good um tips that we can do, things we can do to avoid they getting into the angry mode, because they think, oh, in their mind, this is, "Oh, I just want to keep going. I don't want to keep going." But no, to you, you just want it to be 10 minutes more, right? Um, so like I said, giving the choices, communicating a good limit, and giving them acceptable choices will prevent a lot of future emotional outburst. For example, like what I said, I switch your TV, or you switch on the TV, or like, like eating about sweets. So like for my son, like even though like I do this all the time, but he was just suddenly like after dinner, long after dinner, just right before sleep time, and he was asked me like, "Can I have one more chocolate?" And I will be firm. I'll say, "Sorry, I know you like sweets, but you cannot have sweets. You cannot have chocolate right before you sleep. But you can choose to eat that chocolate tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow lunch or tomorrow dinner time." So again, like I am like telling him, I understand how you feel, but there are limits, and then there are choices you can choose to do what you want to do. Okay, so we're almost at the end. And the third thing is, now that we know the skills on how to deal with emotions, there are things in daily life that we can do that can like this, these biggie pangs, like we can um kind of like we can store up the positive emotion, the positive relationships in our day and our everyday life, so that when they are, the outbursts, when we are angry, we are able to talk with our children better. But being playing, of course, like this piggy, like play, praising, talking, the support and care, all these things. So today I want to talk specifically about how we encourage our children, specifically about descriptive praising. I think it's easy enough concept, but there are things that sometimes we do that we kind of forget when we get into the routine. It's we praise our children, like we tell them like, good job, you've done well, you're so smart. But of course, those comes in handy, and those have their places. But if we can remember to praise, to be precise and to be specific in your praise. For example, like this, like if they are doing their homework and they're doing it, they're very concentrated and they're focused, and say, I really like the way you're quietly sat down and you're focusing, or that I can see that you're really working really hard to control yourself or to focus, right? You're specific in how you like what they're doing, to tell them that is the action that I really, really like. This is what I want you to do more, you know then the children know that why they are praising you and what are the behaviors that you want, and that is good, right? They are good. And but one thing, some parents do that, some parents don't. But even for me, I'll do that sometimes. Remember to avoid criticism when you're praising your children, which sometimes I do when I get frustrated, or just sometimes, like for example, like when my son is doing homework, and sometimes he's, the boys can be, very fidgety, and then one time, and he's really focused, and he did his like in record speed, and I will praise him. I was like, "Oh, you've been really focused. You've done your homework really fast and focused." But then that that parent in me be like, "But," and I will want to tell like, "Why can't why can't you do it every day? Why can't you just can you do that without people, without me um, uh, telling you to do or reminding you to do? And can you just do it automatically every day? Don't don't clump that two things together. Just praise him when you want to praise him. Praise him. Avoid the criticism. Save that for another time when you do want to do that. Yeah, because it's kind of like cancel out the effect of the praise which you want to give. Okay. So what I do is like there are phrases that I kind of hold in my mind, I keep in my head, so that when it's the time, I can tell my kids or tell the kids that I see, what they are like. I really appreciate how you see that you're really hard to controlling yourself, or this might have taken a lot of thoughts and efforts, because we want to praise the effort sometimes, not specifically how they're doing. So there are phrases as parents we can tell kids in praising them, right? Okay. So besides all that, managing their daily habits, using the skills. Um, I think it's also very important to take care not only of your children's need, but your own needs. Because a tired parent really is really it's not in a way not a good parent. Not a good parent is that when you're tired, when you're in limits, it really makes you not as patient. Like for me, like, in a way, like in my family, I'm the so-called expert, which but I don't want to say that, but for my husband, most of the time I'm the one who go and deal with my children when they get emotional, when they are sad. But there are days when I'm really, really tired from work, when I'm so drained. At the end of the day, I come home and I would just tell my husband and say, today is really not the day. I'm so tired. I know if there are things that they need when their children have needs, or they get into when they are angry, please you deal with them because I cannot. No, I have to leave. No, there are days like that. So when there are days like that, you tell yourself, tell your partners, tell the other adults, just I just tell them, no, I have to leave, because that will help to prevent, your emotions from escalating, and then you from being impatient, and then getting into, unnecessary, clashes with your child. And then when you go into those, and then you'll kind of, in a way, you'll question, am I okay? Am I doing the right thing? So avoid that. You remember, be more aware of how you're feeling, and to avoid um, getting into those unnecessary fights, right? How you can do that is, besides that, increasing awareness is to have more meal time. Yeah, just remember, you know, um, having more me time, having more sleep time for yourself, doing what you like, having a regular social life, uh, a good relationship with your spouse is so very important, because like here, like the graph here, when you can do that, um, one negative that you because if you cannot do that, in a way, one negative experience um needs to be offset by three positive experience. So sometimes I'm like, isn't it like kind of like I don't know in English. It's like I was like, such a pity. Like I spent so much time being good, and then just one thing will knock me back three steps. So remember to do that to um to take care of your own needs, so that what you're doing really can bring about a positive experience both for your child and for yourself. Okay. All right. I think this will be the end of the seminar. And in conclusions, um, I do hope you remember three things from today. It's maintaining good daily habits for your children. Second is to understand your child, understand emotions, and together we regulate their emotions and help them to be to regulate and to express their emotions when they come up. And thirdly, to give more encouragement, to give descriptive praises to what they are when they are doing good, so that we put more coins into the piggy banks every day. All right, thank you.